So today we are going to discuss the Russian School of Etnosociology. The founder of this school is Russian scientist of 20th century, Sergei Shirokogorov. He was first to introduce the concept of ethnicity or ethnos in Russian science. He is regarded as a founder of Russian ethnology, but he always also stressed the importance of social aspect of ethnicity. He has given the definition of ethnos that we are dealing with in our course. So I would like to remind Shirokogorov's definition of ethnos. Ethnos or ethnicity is a group of people speaking the same language, recognizing their common origin, and having complex customs, ways of life stored and illuminated and transmitted by tradition, and different from the customs of other groups. So we see that it is a kind of sociological approach to the ethnos. The one thing, only one thing that should be discussed specially is a common origin. And what is important that Shirokogorov recognizes that these common origin is a kind of social representation that is not common origin in fact, but it is a kind of the belief in a common origin, so sociological category. Ethnos is open social group, and there are many rituals that served to the ethnical group to accept the representatives of the other ethnic group. In this case, the individual that wanted to be accepted in these ethnic community should not only enter in the present in this community, but also he was obliged to recognize that the fathers of this ethnic group were his own fathers. So it was a kind to accept the common past, common origin, and being the social category, it was thought as something very possible, because the fact to belong to such or such ethnical clan, family or group was considered to be a kind of belonging to some totem, to accept some affinity to concrete totem or sub-totem, as Marcel Mauss called that. So the individual was considered to be a part of personality that had the social dimension. The person, the concept of person, was a concept of social identity given by the society or in course of some religious sacred ritual, or given by the society in in the process of initiation or adoption. So the person that was not individual, that was a social construct, for example, the totem. And if you recognize as a source or as your person and the source of your life, certain totem, for example, red papagay, as in the case of some ethnic groups among the Indians. So you are considered to be in some kind this red papagay because it represents your personality, and that represents your personality in the present, in the future, but also in the past, because the past was considered to be one of the dimension of the eternal structure. So the common origin was a kind of sociological construction that formed important part of personality. So with this, we could affirm that in the ethnical groups, the individual could, in some limit cases, to choose the past, its own past, to choose its origin in conformity with the demands of such or such social group, because it was not fixed, this concept of origin. It was more or less interchangeable, and you could lose this belongingness to the common origin or obtain that. That is very important. The other important point in definition of ethnos or ethnicity was the fact that Shirokagorov highlighted another sign of fundamental sign of belonging to these concrete ethnic group, endogamy. That is a legitimate opportunity to marry within the same group. So the concept of ethnos in this way is something more than a clan of a fratry. So it was a kind of the concept of the society where you needed to have two parts that should be exogamic, and that should be that they should give the possibility to find a bride from the clan, from the social group considered to be other in front of this concrete group, and the ethnic group should include both parts, creating thus endogamic unity. That endogamic unity that signifies that ethnos should have at least two exogamous clans or social group to give to the ethnic society the possibility to have legitimate marriage inside and not outside of that. So many myths, many legends were dedicated precisely to define this concept of correct marriage, the marriage that is legitimate in any sense. It should not be too far or too near, because if it is too near, it falls in the in the realm of the same group. So it is a kind of incest, but the interdiction, strict interdiction of the ancestral connections was the basis, sociological basis of all existing culture in the world. Human society as such is constructed on the primordial social fact, the interdiction of ancestral relations. And that sociologically demands the definition of what is the same family and what is the other family. So that is a kind of same family is not biological concept. It is the sociological concept, because in different kind of society, the lineage is considered to be as belonging to this family by different criteria. For example, there are maternal kind of lineage and paternal kind of lineage. So that was a social established norm that defined in which case, in which society, in which ethnic group, what is considered to be the same family or the other family. And the very strict set of rules and norms defined the possibility of marriage. So the ethnic group or ethnos is precisely the group, social group, that has in itself both clans or both type of families. The families that are considered to be the same and the family that are considered to be other. So it gives the possibility to have marriage, legitimate marriage in the limits of the same ethnos, and it shouldn't be in the same family. So many myths started by different searchers and also by Shirokogorov himself. He was the specialist in the Evenki tribes of eastern Siberia, and he studied closely these tribes, and also he has found many forms of social myths that gave the necessary explication to the concept of these endogamic basis of the marriage as fundamental aspect for definition of ethnos as a social group. So these myths were destined to define what is legitimate, what is acceptable, and what is abnormal. These myths, for example, featured the bad consequences that are inevitable for ancestral marriages. For example, if you find in some narrative that begins with "there were once upon a time there was the brother and the sister," it is very possible, very probable that will end badly, this story, because the brother and the sister are considered to be virtually the figures of incestual relations. So, and the story was used to describe how fatal and negative this too close marriage would cause if it will be concluded. At the same time, there are the stories concerning too far marriage. For example, in this case, that was the idea of the marriage between human girl, for example, with animals, with bear, or with dragon, or with some fantastic creature that also is regarded as something abnormal. So this kind of myths served to define what is ethnos as endogamous collectivity formed by two exogamous parts. So it was very important because this conceptual attitude of and understanding of the ethnos contradicts to the Aristotle's concept of the society as development of the family. And the complex, sophisticated society, we see only family as the basis of the society, and we could regard it, the family, as the paradigm of society, and we could regard society as greatest paradigm for family. But in the ethnosociological field, there is not so. The primordial, simplest form of society is not a family, but it is two families, two exogamous families living together and stressing always the belonging, the fact to belong to the same family, to reaffirm its identity through ages and generations, but at the same time with the possibility to distinguish by the rites, by the cultural attitudes, by the customs, and many other instruments, the other family that is considered to be other, but at the same time, these other family belongs to the same community because it is the source of legitimate marriages. So that is a kind of two families, but that changed absolutely all picture of the society. If the society is based on the concept of ethnogamic two-family pattern, that is a kind of society that does not need the external regulation. It could regulate itself, this kind of society, because with these two families pattern, there is no need of government, no need of social stratification, no need of power. That is a kind of balanced society that could proceed in this way eternally. And because there is always the balance of given and received, there is circulation of gifts, and the women of exogamous parts of one and the same ethno-gemos group, that is precisely ethnos, is considered to be eternal pattern of with zero sum game, a kind of zero sum game. You live, but you always the same repeats itself. It's a kind of eternal return. Sufficient at the basis of this two-part society is sufficient to proceed so eternally, because there are no reasons of progress, of accumulation, of innovation, of modernization. There is no reason to install the power structure. So the ethnos, considered to be half-part endogamous, with two included, at least two exogamous groups, it's a kind of new object of study that is in the center of ethnosociological discipline. And it is very important that with these two definitions of ethnos, we have, thanks to Sergei Shirokogorov, the object of our discipline of ethnosociology.